All right, so we should be live right now. Hello, guys. Welcome. Sorry for the slight delay. I was having some trouble going live. It wasn't allowing me to, but I think everything is working well now. I don't think we have anyone watching yet, but if you do join us, please let us know or let me know. I'm so used to doing this with other people, but now I'm on my own here. So let me know your name. Let me know where you come from, what school you're from, what city, and whatnot. Yeah, so just put that in the comment box for me. Do keep in mind that there is often a little bit of a delay, as you know, and so it might take me a minute or two to see the information, but do let us know in the comment box. So if you guys have not had meat before, even though I think it's been, what, 9 weeks now of lockdown, I think you've met all the different teachers. But in case you don't know me, let me write my name here. I'm Thiago. I'm 29 years old. I am originally from Brazil, but I spent quite some time in California growing up. Here's my basic info, which you can also see there on the screen. And I live in Milan. I've been working for MIS, the Central Milan School in MIS since 2016. And that's it. So as I said before, I think we've been on lockdown here for, this is the 9th week of it, if I'm not mistaken, which has been odd in a certain, I mean, in many ways it has been odd, of course, but I find it quite strange how much it has already become a routine as well. So yeah. So guys, if you join, please let me know your name. Let me know where you come from. So today, as you can see there from the slides, we are talking about personalities. Okay, so there are a few objectives that we have for today. We will be looking at different personality types. We will be looking at how to describe people, and to do so, of course, we're going to be looking at compound adjectives, which is something that you might have come across before in lessons. It's definitely something that we discuss in level 11. But if you don't know what a compound adjective is, it's basically when we take two or more words, and it can often be hyphenated if it comes before the noun. And these are basically some more advanced adjectives. If you say something like someone who is narrow-minded, for instance, that is an example of a compound adjective. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at here today. So we're going to start with a personalities quiz. It's a bit of a basic quiz, really. But if you're watching this later as well, because right now we don't have anyone to really participate, so I'll just be explaining it. You just have to answer the following questions. There will be a series of different questions, and you have to write down the letter that corresponds to your answer best. All right, and do keep track of all of your answers, just the letter that you choose, because in the end, I'm going to ask you to count how many A's, how many B's, or how many C's you have, so that we can read a description of your personality, and you can let me know if it matches your perception of yourself or not. So the first question for you is, when do you feel your best? So do you feel your best in the morning, during the afternoon, or late at night? So I guess I'll answer this myself as we go as well. I would definitely say I feel my best late at night. In fact, I am definitely not a morning person. I'm quite groggy in the morning. I'm a little bit slow. I'm definitely one of those people that needs his coffee before, officially starting the day. And waking up too early, it's just not for me, really. In fact, I'm lucky enough to usually work the afternoon and evening shifts at work. So I tend to teach from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then I'm quite active at night. I often go to bed at 1 or 2 in the morning. So that's when I feel my best. and a couple of relevant words maybe that I can teach you guys, some expressions. Now, someone who is active in the morning, we would say is an early bird. I'll write this here. So an early bird, which is also what we use a lot of the times for ticket sales. Usually we have early bird tickets, and that means that they are tickets that are cheaper than any other tickets, and they are put on sale months ahead of the event. It's a very limited number, but if you really want to attend that event and you're willing to buy so early, you get a discount on them. So but it can also mean a person who is active in the morning, an early bird. And the opposite of that is a night owl. Okay, an owl is a nocturnal bird, so early bird or night owl. Okay, so yes, I see one person has joined us. If you are able to comment, if you have a Gmail account, let me know your name, let me know where you come from. And we're doing a really basic personalities quiz because we're talking about compound adjectives today. So just for each question, just pick the answer that represents you best and just write it down. So for me, this is a C. I feel my best late at night. Okay. Question number 2. How easily are you offended? We have very easily. I have a short temper. Occasionally or never. I'm totally chilled out, man. So here we have a couple of compound adjectives, which I already mentioned before. So, well, this is not really an adjective because here's to have a short temper, but we can also use to be short-tempered, and that is a compound adjective, and also to be chilled out. Okay, so see, you have that hyphen there. That's usually a sign of a compound adjective. Now, personally, I would say occasionally. I like to believe I'm chilled out, but I know in certain situations I'm definitely not. So occasionally I can actually be offended. So I would put a B for that one personally. Okay, let's move on here. Question number 3. When talking to people, you stand with your arms folded or crossed, you can say. Your legs neatly bent side by side, or do you play with your ear? Do you touch your chin? Or do you smooth your hair? So how much do you kind of play with your hands? We also have a verb when you play with your hands, you fidget. How much do you fidget when talking to people? Oh, hi, Marcelo. Welcome. Yeah. Oh, so you're a night owl. Great. Nice to see you. I don't think I've come across you here in the webinars. I think you're the only one joining me tonight. So welcome. So let me just go back, Marcelo, because so we talked about, so we did question 1. So you said late at night. We also have the second one. How easily are you offended? We got these 3 options. And then we have this third one here, which I'm actually trying to think myself. So when I'm talking to people, I guess I do have the habit of kind of folding my arms, which I know is not the best because it kind of communicates that you are detached from the conversation. If I catch myself doing it, I try to stop, but I think naturally I do have a tendency to sometimes cross my arms. So I will put an A for this one. I don't think I fidget that much. Maybe I do. I do gesticulate quite a bit. But anyway, so let me know, Marcelo, as well. Yeah, you got a private lesson. You got a private webinar. I mean, I guess other people can always watch this retroactively. It will be recorded on YouTube, but I think you're the only one participating tonight. Although I see one more person who just joined. So yeah, feel free to say hello, guys, if you're coming in. I know it's dinner time as well. Okay, so you're pretty chilled out then, Marcelo, for question 2. Cool. And what about your your posture and kind of the way you carry yourself during a conversation? Do you also tend to kind of fold your arms? Do you bend your legs? Do you like fidget? Do you play with your, I don't know, your ears, your hair, or anything? So let me know. There's a bit of a delay often in the comments. And then what about when relaxing? So when you're at home, you're just chilling. Do you sit with your legs crossed? Do you have your hands on your hips? Or do you sit with one leg curled under you? Oh, I'm definitely a C on this one. So when you curl your legs, it's kind of like you bend your legs and then you sit on top of your legs. Uh, I don't know. It's like my default way of sitting. I mean, if I'm relaxing, of course, I wouldn't do that in a more professional context, I suppose. But if I'm relaxing, I often do curl my legs. I kind of sit in some, I guess, like strange positions. So I'll put a C here. All right. Just gonna keep going here with these questions. So just go ahead and write down the letter that represents you. Question 5. When something really amuses you. So it's nice, maybe one to clarify. So to amuse is to something that makes you happy, to make you happy, or even to make you smile, make you laugh. Yeah, to make you happy. So when something really amuses you, so when something makes you happy, something makes you smile, how do you react? Do you react with a frown? So a frown is the opposite of a smile. So you have a smile and a frown. So do you frown because you try to hide your amusement? Do you give a quiet, gentle chuckle? So chuckle is a very, very short, it's not even a laugh really. It's almost like a, huh, this is a chuckle. Do you react with a chuckle, or do you react with an understated yet charismatic smile? So I guess it depends on the situation itself. But if it's not, if it's just slightly amusing, I think I react with an understated smile, maybe. So I would also put C here. Marcelo says, I used to fidgeting a lot, but now I'm quite calm. Do you mean now, as in during this quarantine, you don't really fidget a lot? When do you fidget? And just to correct your grammar here, Marcelo, since especially you're the only one, so I'm going to correct everything you say. Now, used to plus infinitive is for a past habit. Okay? So if you were referring to a past habit, I would say, I used to fidget a lot, and now I'm quite calm. Okay, so that certainly works. If you're talking about a general habit that is also true in the general present, then I would say to be used to plus ing. For example, I am used to fidgeting a lot, as in it's a general habit that I have, including now. Okay? So, yeah. So used to plus infinitive, or to be used to plus ing. All right, so I'm definitely a C for this one as well. Let's keep going. So question number 6, we have, you're working really hard and you are interrupted. How do you react? A, you feel extremely irritated. B, you remain impartial to the interruption, so you don't really care. Or do you welcome the break? Now, if I'm working really hard, I guess. Now, see, I wouldn't say that I feel extremely irritated. I do get a little bit annoyed, but I don't often show my annoyance. So I guess I would say B, but I do feel a little bit annoyed because I don't know, if I'm focusing hard, I really need my own space. I don't work that well when I'm really trying to focus if I have other people or a lot of distractions around me. So I would say B myself for this one. And then this, I believe, is the last question. How do you like the waves of the sea? So if you go to the sea, do you like the waves ferocious, fast, and powerful? Do you like the waves enough to sail a boat, but not to drown? And to drown is to, like, to basically die by going underwater. Drown. And C, you prefer no waves, a calm and tranquil open sea. See, I grew up with the ocean between Brazil and California. I always, I would go to the beach with lots of waves. I do like a tranquil sea. In fact, I think a lot of the times the really clear water you find when you have like tranquil seas. But I do like waves, maybe not ferocious waves, although they can be pretty to look at. So maybe a B. I like waves enough to sail a boat, but not, to drown, of course, not when it gets dangerous. So yeah. So these are all the questions, I believe. So what you have to do now is count all of the letters. So how many A's, how many B's, and how many C's. So personally, I have 1 A, I have 3 B's, and I have 3 C's. So I'm a combination of B or C then. My least common letter is A. We're going to see what that means now, according to this test. So Marcelo, count your letters and let me know which one is the most common for you. Okay. And while you're doing that, I'm just gonna move on here. And we're gonna look at the different answers and what they mean. Okay, so mostly A's. So this one definitely does not define me according to this test. So if you got mostly A's, basically you are a strong-willed, brave, confident, and courageous person. You're not scared by a daunting task, and you approach life with determination and commitment. Be careful, though. Your iron mind can sometimes intimidate people who sometimes think that you are big-headed and bad-tempered. Okay? So let's see, Marcelo. When something really amuses me, I react immediately, and it's clear. I try to cover, but I see. So you're very reactive. No, but I think that's good. I mean, if you're showing amusement, it's nice that people get to see that. I think, it can be contagious to, happiness can certainly be contagious. But what about, Marcelo, when you are, when you're angry? So if maybe it's an emotion that you don't want people to see immediately, are you able to hide that, or does that also kind of, come through immediately and people know exactly how you're feeling? So while you answer that, just having a look here at the A's. Yeah, so this is the one I had the least, but I guess certain things I think could apply to me. I mean, in some senses, I guess I am courageous. And I think that sometimes people could interpret me as being bad-tempered. Yeah, especially if something is done that is not in line with my values, I tend to sometimes take it kind of personally, which is not always the most productive thing. Then I can come across as maybe being bad tempered. But yeah, okay. So let's look at mostly B's. So I was tied between a B and a C. So, okay, so if you have mostly B's, it says that you are level-headed, logical, or you are a level-headed, logical, and rational individual. You never do things to extremes and always follow the middle path. People appreciate you for the advice you offer them and respect your balanced views. You have a high standard of social etiquette and are a naturally warm-hearted and kind person. Yeah, I think this one, defines me fairly well. I am mostly level-headed, although, as I mentioned before, I can sometimes get bad-tempered if I feel that something that I consider, an important value, I see that being violated, I kind of lose my temper a bit. Okay, and we're going to be looking, by the way, Marcelo, some of these expressions, level-headed, etc., warm-hearted. We'll be looking into that in just a bit. And if you had mostly C's, it means that you are charming, charismatic, and easygoing. People are drawn to you by your chilled out attitude to life and your laid back and happy-go-lucky approach to things. Although your nonchalant attitude can sometimes be misinterpreted as carelessness and laziness, people are still attracted to your calm and tranquil aura. So see, I also got 3 answers for C. This one, I don't know if it defines me that well. I think people who I am close with would define me this way. And I think when I'm teaching, I do kind of give these vibes. But I don't think everyone would agree with it. People that I don't know that well, I don't think I come across as necessarily easygoing or even that charismatic, honestly. I can actually seem a bit cold sometimes. So I don't know. I don't know. I think there's some truth to this, but not everything. Okay, let's see, Marcelo. If I'm angry, it comes to, okay, all right, so you're just expressive. People, see it immediately. You can say you're easy to read. Cool. So Marcelo, which did you write down the letters for the quiz? What letter represents you the best, A, B, or C? And do you agree with the definitions that you saw there in the quiz? So just let me know. But in the meantime, I'm gonna just move on here to the next slide. So yeah, this is a really interesting one. It's definitely something that I've noticed people can interpret in significantly different ways. Whether you're introverted or extroverted. And by the way, when we say introverted, extroverted, we are talking about the adjective. Okay, for example, I am an introverted person. But if you're talking about the person, him or herself, then we say introvert and extrovert. So without the ed in the end, okay? For example, she is an extrovert, and then it's a noun. Or she is an extroverted person, and then it's an adjective. So just be careful with this. So yeah. So before we talk about this, the types of personality that you think are required for different jobs, and so I think it's important to talk about the difference between being an introvert versus an extrovert, because people do interpret it a little bit differently. I noticed that for some people, being introverted or extroverted is the way you behave, right? So introverted is basically you're shy, and extroverted, you're outgoing. But I think, at least in English speaking countries, and in psychology generally, like, people who study this, they view it a little bit differently. It's more about how you get energized. Okay, so how you feel recharged. An introvert is the kind of person that gets recharged from spending alone time. So an introvert can actually be quite outgoing, friendly, and bubbly. But after they spend time interacting, they feel the need to kind of have a little bit of alone time, a little bit in their own space to recharge their batteries. Whereas an extrovert doesn't usually have this issue so much. In fact, an extrovert gets energized by spending time with people. In fact, if they are spending too much time inside, they kind of start going crazy. They really need to recharge their batteries by connecting with others. And of course, I think most people are not, an introvert or an extrovert, but they are a combination of both. But one might be more prevalent than the other. So, for example, Marcelo, do you consider yourself more introverted or extroverted? So how do you get energized? From talking to people or spending time on your own? And of course, we're talking mostly here, not all the time. See, I am definitely more of an introvert, which might not always seem like that, especially if you see me teaching. If you're one of my students, you've seen me in school, I can actually be, quite outgoing. I can be loud. I tend to talk quite a lot. But naturally, my tendency, if I can, is to actually spend chago on chago time. I really like my space. I like just like watching TV or spending time on my phone or just even thinking, just like looking out the window. I really like those moments. In fact, I would say that the quarantine hasn't been that hard for me. I think people who are more naturally extroverted, they've been struggling a lot more by not being able to go out, socialize, etc. Yeah, I've had my ups and downs. Some days are harder than others, but generally speaking, being inside, it's fine. It's really not that big a problem. And then I can still kind of teach, like this on YouTube or doing online lessons. So I still get to talk to some people, so it doesn't feel too lonely. So yeah, so Marcelo, let me know for you then, which one, fits your personality the most, you think? So introvert or extrovert? Okay. Yeah, I guess we're gonna skip this one here, guys, just so we can also look at some expressions. And then if we have time, we can come back here and look at the various professions and if being an introvert versus an extrovert works better or the other. So Marcelo, so you think you're an extrovert, okay? So you do really enjoy spending time with people and you get energized after you spend time with people, okay? Cool. See, the reason I know I'm not is, for example, I spend a lot of my time with people when I'm teaching. Um, and so when I have a break, sometimes I have 1 hour between my lessons, I tend to spend that hour on my own. Sometimes I even leave the school, I go get a coffee, I go read a book at the park, whereas other people, they use their breaks to socialize. They want to, go upstairs, see who else is free and talk. I definitely tend to retreat when I have my free time. Because see, all the time that I spend talking and interacting with students, I do enjoy it, but for me, it takes some of my energy. So I need to recharge by being on my own. So, okay, so let's have a look here, guys. So we mentioned compound adjectives. As you can see, they're adjectives that are made up of 2 or more words. And here we have some different ones and their definitions. So Marcelo and anyone else who is watching, if you could, match them up for us. We have easygoing, tight-fisted, big-headed, well-behaved, self-assured, bad-tempered. And the definitions are easily annoyed or angered, someone who behaves correctly, arrogant, relaxed, unwilling to spend money, and someone confident in their own abilities. Okay, so let me know, please. So yeah, Marcelo, you're saying being in quarantine is hard. Yeah, exactly. If you're an extrovert, especially, so you really miss that, the interaction. I bet. Marcelo, do you live with other people or do you live alone? I think that makes a big difference as well. So yeah, easygoing, someone who is relaxed, sure. Yeah, so see someone who goes easy. They take it easy. They're easygoing. Excellent. So tight-fisted. So sometimes it helps for you to try to break down the word here if you don't know. So fisted, think of a fist. So this is your fist, right? Fist. Tight, so tight-fisted, as in you don't open your hand. So it's tight-fisted. So what does that mean? Exactly, Marcelo. Tight-fisted, so someone who is unwilling to spend money. See, you are unwilling to open your fist. You're unwilling to spend. Yeah, exactly. Some people might just say tight as well without fisted. Oh yeah, he's quite tight, as in he doesn't spend money. I think that's more of a British construction, though. I would say stingy. Someone who's stingy. But for stingy is not a compound adjective. So I'm just going to move on with the next one here, guys, just because there is a bit of a delay. I don't want to keep you waiting too long. So someone who is big-headed. Again, break it down. So their head is too big. So what does that mean? If their head is too big, we're basically saying they are arrogant. Okay, so someone who's big-headed. Then we have someone who is well-behaved. So see, always look for the word there. Behaved, think of behave, behavior. That is well, that is good. So someone who has a good behavior. So someone who behaves correctly. Yeah, we often use well-behaved more so to talk about maybe children or pets. You can say that, my dog is well-behaved or my child is well-behaved. Of course, we could use it to talk about adults as well, but it can actually be a bit condescending, I suppose. Oh, he's well-behaved, It's a bit weird. Yeah, perfect. Nice, Marcelo. Thank you. Then we have self-assured. Okay, so you assured, the word there is sure. Someone who is sure of the self. They are sure about themselves. So someone who is confident in their own abilities. Okay, that's self-assured. And then lastly, we have bad-tempered. So again, if we identify the word is temper, a temper that is bad. We saw this earlier in the quiz that we took, right? And so someone who is easily annoyed, easily angered. Really nicely done, Marcelo. Perfect. Great. All right, so guys, if you have any questions here, just of course let me know in the comments. I'm just gonna move on here. We're gonna come back to this in a second. We have a few more that I wanted to check with you before we kind of practice, and I ask you to come up with your own examples. So one is actually right up here, someone who is two-faced. Two-faced. So a person that has two faces, someone who's fake. And then we have 5 others that I would like you guys to, kind of fit into these gaps here based on the, see, I don't trust her, so she is, okay? So anyway, we have thick-skinned, narrow-minded, strong-willed, warm-hearted, and two-faced. So guys, I know some people are just joining now as well. Feel free to just jump in and do the activity. So just, tell me the number and the compound adjective that would describe these people. Okay? And as you're doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and read it just for pronunciation's sake. So 1, I don't trust her. She is blank. 2, a good doctor should be caring. And 3, my manager never listens to me. He is very. And 4, Luis isn't affected by negative criticism. He is blank. And last one, Amy's determination inspires me. She is so blank. Okay, so just take, a minute or so. Just you can also give it to me just one by one, since we do have a bit of a delay with the comments. That way I get them as you type. So let's see, Marcelo. So you got the first one there. I don't trust her. She is two-faced. Yeah. You're basically saying she's fake, or she has kind of 2 different personalities. It's not easy to read her. Oh, there you go, Marcelo. Fantastic. Okay. So a good doctor should be caring, and he said warm-hearted. Yeah, I agree. So a doctor should be warm-hearted, especially when, giving bad news. You really need some tact. And a nice expression here as well is a good dose of tact. 3, my manager never listens to me. He is very, so he said, narrow-minded. Exactly. So his mind is really narrow. So narrow is the opposite of wide or broad. So very narrow. So only sees it this way. So he never listens to anything that goes outside of his idea of how things should be. 4, he said thick-skinned. Louise isn't affected by negative criticism. Yeah, exactly. So see, obviously here it's a very physical sort of expression, right? Like his skin is so thick that he's not affected by what's hitting him. Kind of like, what's the other one that we saw? Tight-fisted, right? So it's a physical one to express something else. And 5, Amy's determination inspires me. She is so strong-willed. Exactly. So her will is strong. Cool. Very nicely done, Marcelo. Good job here with these. And so here is what we're gonna do now, guys. Yeah, we're obviously not gonna do a dialogue because it's not gonna work in the comments. So instead, have a look at these expressions, okay? And now I want you to just choose maybe 2 or 3 and come up with your own examples. So just use them in your own sentences, okay? Yeah, maybe choose the ones that you are the least comfortable with. If there is one that you don't quite understand that well, that way, you know, we can be sure that it's correct. And feel free to send one at a time, as again, there is a bit of a delay. And also, if you have any questions, if there is one you don't understand that well, just let me know. All right, let's see here, Marcelo. So I'm easygoing person and strong-willed when I need to reach my goals. Fantastic, really, really nice. So I'm just gonna, you know, they're really little corrections, but I'm gonna just point them out anyway. So the first part, when he said I'm easygoing person, so you're including the noun, right? So in that case, make sure, you know, as we do with pretty much any singular nouns, you do need an article there. So I am an easygoing person. I'm an easygoing person. And in this case, Marcelo, you're absolutely right to use the hyphen in the middle. So easygoing, connected, because we're using it as an adjective before the noun, okay? But if you're using this after the noun, we don't usually hyphenate. So I would say I'm an easygoing person and strong-willed when I need to reach my goals. Okay, I mean, obviously, when you're speaking, this doesn't really matter. It's not going to affect your speaking, but especially if you're, you know, writing an email, if you want to be proper, it's best to avoid the hyphen in that case. It's not that big a deal. It's the kind of mistake that you will see lots of native speakers make. But just so you know, so if it's after the noun, we don't use the hyphen. Okay, so it's, for example, he's an open-minded person or is very, or that guy is really open-minded. See, so in the first one, it precedes the noun, so I use the hyphen. He's an open-minded guy. If it goes after, we don't include it. So cool. Let's see. Pina, welcome. We have another example here. Let's see. So there is a fine line between being self-assured and being big-headed. Yeah, there is a really, fine line. One is positive, one is negative. Definitely. Yeah. I think it depends a lot on your intentions as well. Great. Thanks for the example. And let's see, Marcelo has another one here. I'm not a two-faced person either. Okay, perfect. So in this case, if you're using two negatives, I am neither a two-faced person. I'm neither a two-faced nor a tight-fisted person. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, there you go. And then you just, so when we have two negatives, we would say neither nor. I'm neither a two-faced nor a tight-fisted person. Okay? So, guys, we are getting to the end here. We only got a couple minutes left. If you're still writing an example, do finish it, send them through. I'm just going to do a quick recap of everything that we touched on today. So let me just go back here on the slides. So we did a quiz, and in this quiz, there were just a couple expressions that we introduced. We talked about how someone can be an early bird, which means someone who is active in the morning. And this is an expression that we often see when we're buying tickets for a concert or different events. Early bird tickets are the cheapest tickets. It's a limited number, and these are for people who are really serious about attending, so they buy it beforehand, and they tend to have a significant discount on the price. The opposite of an early bird is a night owl. So this is someone like me who is more active at night. We talked about the verb to fidget, which basically means to use your fingers to play with your hair, your face, or just, maybe your nails, etc. So usually when you're nervous, you tend to fidget a little bit. We saw the verb to amuse, which is to make one happy, especially to kind of make someone smile. The opposite of a smile is a frown, which can also work as a verb as well, to frown. Difference between used to plus infinitive, which is a past habit, and to be used to plus ing, which is a general habit. Okay, so I used to play out in the street when I was a child, but nowadays I am used to getting up at 11 due to the quarantine. We saw the verb to drown, which is basically to die by going underwater. Then we saw just a few compound adjectives, and I'm just going to match them up here if you guys would like to take a picture of it. Okay, so we have these adjectives, and then we also saw these ones. Okay, and if you do come across these adjectives, guys, just do try to kind of break them down. From minded, go to mind, skin, go to skin, and then work backwards. See, a face that is to, a heart that is warm, a mind which is narrow. And then a lot of the times you'll be able to guess the meaning. Some are easier than others, of course, and you might still come across something you don't know. But this can be a nice way to break it down. Okay? So thank you guys so much. Thanks, Marcelo, in particular, for all the participation. Otherwise, it's just me talking to myself. And so really appreciate it. I hope that this was useful. And try to incorporate some of this vocab as well when you're speaking. Okay? it's like you have to do it slowly. Don't try to, of course, just use only compound adjectives from now on. But if there's one or two that you particularly like, just slowly incorporate it into your speech, in your online lessons. Okay. And oh, bye, Antonio. Hello and goodbye. Thanks for saying something. All right, guys. Have a lovely evening, and I'll see you around. Bye bye.